Well, welcome to our lesson on dividing polynomials. In this lesson, we're going to use two different methods for dividing polynomial expressions. And the first method is familiar to you, just using our long division algorithm. The second method is completely new. It's called synthetic division, but I think you're going to find that it's a lot easier, and you'll probably use that one more often. So starting off, let's go ahead and divide a polynomial by a monomial. And when we do that, we're just going to take each of the terms in the polynomial divided by the denominator monomial term. And so I've written those out for you. And then just simplify. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X cubed divided by x gives us the x squared. And y squared divided by y is y. The second term gives us a 2, 8 divided by 4. The x's drop out, and y squared divided by y is y. And lastly, we have 12 divided by 4 is a 3, and x squared divided by x is x, and y cubed divided by y is y squared. All right, so on the next slide here, we're going to go ahead and jump into using our long division algorithm. Make sure I have a little reminder for you up here. If you're missing any terms in your polynomial, you have to set those as zeros for place markers. For instance, if I didn't have an x term, I would have to put a 0 right here. You'll come across some problems where that's the case. Just make sure that you're checking to make sure all of your terms are in descending order, which is called standard form. So on this problem, we'll go ahead and work through this one together. I'm going to go ahead and divide x squared plus 7x minus 30 by x minus 3. Now to do that, what we're going to do is we're only going to look at this first term x squared, and the first term on the outside is x. If I take x squared and divide it by x, I am left with x. And so I write that up above the term that I'm dividing. And then I'm going to take this term x and multiply it by both terms out here. X times x is x squared. And then x times a negative 3 is a minus 3x. And the way that I like to do this is to put parentheses around this and put a minus sign out front to remind me that I am subtracting. X squared minus x squared is 0. 7x minus a minus 3x is 7x plus 3x, which gives us a 10x. And then we're going to bring down that last term, which is a minus 30. And x goes into 10x 10 times. It's a plus 10. So we want to write a plus 10 up here. And then multiply plus 10 times the whole term gives us a 10x minus 30. And putting parentheses around that with a minus sign in front. Okay, and then when we do our subtraction in this problem, we have a 0 remainder. All right, here's another one. We're going to use the long division algorithm on this one as well. If I take 5x cubed and divide it by x, that leaves me with 5x squared. Then I'm going to take 5x squared times the whole term, and that gives me 5x cubed minus 10x squared. Subtracting these terms, I end up with a negative 3x squared. We have a negative 13 minus a minus 10, which is a plus 10. So that's where the minus 3x squared comes from. Bring down the 10x, and then take negative 3x squared divided just by x, and that gives us a minus 3x. Put that up top, and then multiply the whole term on the outside by the minus 3x. Write it down below, and then do our subtraction. We end up with 4x. Bring down the minus 8. 4x divided by x is a plus 4. Write that up above, and then multiply the plus 4 by the whole term, and that gives us a 4x minus 8. And then on this one, we end up with a 0 remainder as well. Just remember, if you get a remainder, which I'll show you later in one of the future slides, you would write your remainder as the numerator, and then the denominator would be whatever you're dividing by. So here's the process called synthetic division. So what we're going to do here, we start off with writing just the coefficients of our polynomial, and we want to write those in descending order. Remember, if we're missing any terms, we have to write zeros as place markers. So I have a cubed term, a squared term, a linear term, and a constant, and I just wrote those coefficients. Then the term, this number that's out in the box, is actually whatever the root is. So if this is our factor, if we set that factor equal to 0 and solve, we would get x equal to 2. So let me just show you that over here. If we have x minus 2 is equal to 0, then adding 2 to both sides gives us x equal to 2. This is the thing that goes out in the box out here on the left-hand side, whatever that's equal to. So let's go ahead and work on this one. The next thing we do is we're going to multiply the number in the box by the first term. We always bring the first term down. And when we multiply that, we get 10. We want to write that under the next coefficient, and then we add these together. A negative 13 plus 10 is a negative 3. And then we're going to multiply again. 2 times negative 3, write it under the next term, gives us a negative 6. 10 plus a negative 6 is a negative 4. And then we multiply again. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. And I think I may have made a math error here. Let me make sure here. Negative 6. This one's a plus 4. Sorry about that. This should give us a plus 8. And then that gives us a 0 remainder. So now what we need to do, once we are done with our synthetic division, we need to write this in terms of a polynomial. And the way that we do that is we're going to use each of these numbers, our coefficients, and our degree is 1 less than what we started with. So we started with an x cubed term. So our answer would be 5x squared minus a 3x plus 4. Okay? And this is our answer. When we take this polynomial divided by x minus 2, we are left with that answer. Let's try another one. This one, we have a place marker of 0 because we're missing an x cubed term. And so I've written all the coefficients in here for you. When we set 2x plus 1 equal to 0, we want to subtract 1 from both sides. So we get 2x is equal to negative 1, and then dividing by 2 on both sides. Okay, the 2's cancel. We get x equal to negative 1/2. And that's how we got the number that's out in the box. So we always start by bringing down our first term, which is an 8. Half of 8 is 4, and it's negative. When we add, we get negative 4. Multiplying again, a negative times a negative is a positive. Half of 4 is 2. Negative 4 plus 2 gives us a negative 2. Multiply again, negative times a negative is a positive. Half of 2 is 1. Add these two terms together and we get a positive 2. Multiply, half of 2 is 1 and it's negative. 4 minus 1 is 3. So now this time we have a remainder, and remember to rewrite this as a polynomial. The degree is 1 less than what we started with. So we have 8x to the third minus 4x squared minus 2x plus 2. And now this time we have a remainder, so we're going to write that as positive 3 all over whatever we started with, which was 2x plus 1. So this thing that we were dividing by, that becomes our denominator down there. So here are two problems for you to try on your own. This first problem, I'd like you to use long division. Try the synthetic division process on the second one and bring those answers to class. See you next time.